Max Schmeling sent 17 German fighters to kill Bumpy Johnson. Only 2 walked out, and the message they delivered made the most famous boxer in Germany abandon America and never return. June 22, 1938. Bumpy Johnson was outnumbered 17-1. Max Schmeling had sent his deadliest crew: Hans the Iron Fist, Klaus the Storm, Otto the Silent, Wilhelm the Wolf. 13 more German ex-military fighters, whose names were spoken in fear from Berlin to Brooklyn. They cornered Bumpy in the Cotton Club basement. No witnesses, no way out. Bumpy was 33 years old, rising protector of Harlem, but facing battle-hardened veterans. Schmeling was the most famous German in New York. Everyone expected the same ending: Bumpy Johnson dead in a basement. But what Schmeling didn't know, Bumpy Johnson understood honor better than most Germans. 4 hours later, only 2 of those 17 fighters walked out alive, and they delivered a message that made Max Schmeling flee America forever. This is the story of the night Bumpy Johnson taught German soldiers what real honor meant. To understand what happened that night, you need to understand Max Schmeling in 1938. He was the former heavyweight champion of the world, German boxing hero, Nazi propaganda symbol. But 3 days earlier, Joe Louis had destroyed him in the first round at Yankee Stadium, knocked him unconscious in front of 70,000 people and millions listening on radio. The defeat wasn't just personal, it was political. The Nazis had promoted Schmeling as proof of Aryan superiority. His destruction by a black American was devastating to their ideology, and Schmeling knew someone was responsible for Louis' preparation: Bumpy Johnson. Bumpy had helped train Joe Louis, provided sparring partners, strategic advice, psychological preparation. He'd made sure Louis understood that this fight was about more than boxing. It was about proving that black Americans could defeat Nazi supremacy. The newspapers had called it the fight of the century. But for Bumpy, it was something more personal. It was about showing the world that intelligence and preparation could defeat brute force and racial hatred. By June 1938, Schmeling was getting pressure from Berlin. Nazi officials were furious about his humiliation. They wanted revenge against everyone who'd helped Louis, and Schmeling needed to restore his reputation with the party. So Schmeling made a decision that would end his American career. He assembled 17 of his most loyal fighters, German ex-military men who'd served in the Great War, who'd followed him to America seeking opportunity. These weren't typical boxers. Hans had killed 12 men in French trenches. Klaus had survived poison gas attacks. Wilhelm had led assault teams against Allied positions. They were warriors, not athletes. The plan was simple: corner Bumpy Johnson. Execute him brutally. Send a message that helping black Americans defeat German heroes had consequences. June 21st, 1938, the 17 fighters gathered at Schmeling's training camp outside New York. These weren't street thugs. Hans had been decorated at Verdun. Klaus had led stormtrooper assaults. Otto had survived 4 years of trench warfare without speaking. They were professionals who'd learned to kill in the most brutal war in human history. Schmeling briefed them personally. Bumpy Johnson has humiliated German boxing. He must pay the ultimate price. What are his crimes against the fatherland? Asked Wilhelm the Wolf. He corrupted our fight, made our defeat possible, dishonored German strength in front of the world. The fighters accepted their mission. They'd been following Schmeling since arriving in America. They trusted his leadership completely and believed in German superiority. June 22nd, 1938, 11:15 p.m. 17 German fighters moved through Harlem like a military unit. They disabled security, cut communications, positioned themselves with military precision around the Cotton Club. Hands picked the lock using skills learned breaking into Allied positions. The 17 fighters descended the stairs in perfect formation. Professional soldiers executing a military operation with the same precision they'd used in the trenches of France. They found Bumpy sitting alone, reading a newspaper, drinking beer. He looked up as they formed ranks around him, 17 weapons pointed at his head. Max Schmeling sends his regards, Hans announced, his German accent thick and menacing. Bumpy folded his newspaper slowly. He looked around the formation of fighters, studying their faces carefully. Then he spoke in perfect German. "Siebzen Soldaten, am einen Mann zu töten," Bumpy said. 17 soldiers to kill one man. The fighters froze. Bumpy Johnson speaking German was impossible. But what he said next changed everything. "Ist das deutsche Ehre?" Bumpy continued. "Is this German honor?" Tons lowered his weapon slightly. "How do you speak our language?" "Ich spreche die Sprache der Ehre," Bumpy replied. "I speak the language of honor, and right now you're dishonoring everything your fathers fought for." Klaus stepped forward. "You dare speak about German honor?" "I speak about honor because I understand what German soldiers really died for," Bumpy said, standing slowly. "They died fighting tyranny, not serving it." Otto broke his legendary silence. "What do you know about German sacrifice?" "I know about the White Rose," Bumpy replied quietly. "Kians and Sophie Scholl, German students who died resisting Nazi lies, real German heroes." The basement went completely silent. 17 German veterans suddenly questioning everything they thought they knew. "You know about the skulls?" Wilhelm asked, his voice showing genuine surprise. Bumpy reached into his jacket. 17 weapons aimed at him, but he moved slowly, carefully. He pulled out a small object and placed it on the table. It was a German resistance pin, bearing the White Rose symbol and the word Widerstand. "A friend gave me this in Alcatraz," Bumpy said quietly. "German anti-fascist named Friedrich Müller fought against Hitler before fleeing to America. Died in prison defending his principles." Hans stared at the pin. "Friedrich Müller? You knew him?" "He was my commanding officer in the Great War. The most honorable man I ever served under. He saved my life at Passchendaele." "He taught me something," Bumpy said. "He taught me that real German honor means fighting for justice, not serving tyrants." The silence stretched for long minutes. 17 German fighters wrestling with everything they'd believed. "What are you saying?" Klaus asked. "I'm saying Max Schmeling isn't fighting for German honor. He's fighting for Nazi propaganda. And there's a difference between serving your country and serving a dictator." Wilhelm looked around at his comrades. Professional soldiers, but also Germans raised on stories of duty and honor. "But we serve Schmeling," Wilhelm said uncertainly. "Schmeling serves Hitler," Bumpy replied. "And Hitler is everything your fathers died fighting against in the last war. Think about it. You fought to defend Germany. Now you're being asked to commit murder for propaganda." Heinz examined the resistance pin closely. "What proof do you have that we're wrong?" "Look at what you're doing," Bumpy said simply. 17 soldiers sent to murder one man because he helped a black American defeat a German boxer. Is that honor or revenge? Is that defending Germany or serving Hitler's ego? For the next 2 hours, 17 German fighters listened as Bumpy explained the difference between honor and propaganda. How the Nazis had corrupted German values. How serving Hitler meant betraying everything German soldiers had died for in the Great War. "He's right," Otto said, speaking for the second time in years. "This isn't what we came to America for. We came here to escape what Germany was becoming." Hans studied the White Rose pin. "What do you propose we do?" "Take this pin back to Schmeling. Tell him it came from Friedrich Müller's student. Tell him that real German honor fights tyranny, not serves it." One by one, the 17 fighters filed back up the basement stairs, but not all of them. 15 men left the Cotton Club. That night, 2 stayed behind. "Why?" Bumpy asked. "Because you reminded us what German honor really means," Hans replied. "And because Friedrich Müller would be ashamed of what we almost did tonight." The next morning, Hans the Iron Fist walked into Schmeling's training camp and placed the German resistance pin on his table. "Where is Bumpy Johnson?" Schmeling demanded. "Alive." "What do you mean, alive?" "I sent 17 fighters." Hans' voice carried the authority of Verdun. "You sent 17 German soldiers to commit murder for Nazi propaganda. We remembered what we really stand for." Schmeling stood up, his face red with rage. "How dare you question my orders? How dare you dishonor German military tradition?" Hans replied. Bumpy Johnson understands German honor better than you do. The room went dead silent. Schmeling's other associates watched as Hans delivered the message that would end the boxer's American career. Friedrich Müller died fighting for real German values. You're fighting for Hitler's lies. We won't be part of it anymore. And if I report this to Berlin. Hans looked around the room at Schmeling's remaining supporters. Men who'd heard about the resistance pin. Who understood what it meant. Then you'll discover that some German soldiers remember what we really swore to defend. 1 week later, Max Schmeling boarded a ship to Germany. He never returned to America. The two fighters who stayed behind became part of Bumpy's organization. They helped establish anti-Nazi support networks, protected German refugees, and maintained watch for fascist activities in New York. In that German resistance pin, Bumpy kept it on his desk for the rest of his life, a reminder that honor transcends nationality, and real soldiers fight for justice, not propaganda. June 22, 1938. 17 fighters walked into a basement to restore their leader's pride. 15 walked out, having restored their own honor, and the 2 who stayed proved that German courage meant fighting tyranny, not serving it. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't defeating your enemy. It's showing them what they're really supposed to be fighting for. If this story of honor transcending nationalism moved you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you believe real soldiers fight for justice, not propaganda, and comment below. What would you have done in that basement?